and welcome to another episode of It's Tip Top Fishing. My name is Keaton and today we are comparing the big boys in town. Doof. We have got the all famous Spom, the original, the king of the hill, the Spom. Then on the other side we've got the Nash Dot Spod, the new boy in town. Which one's better? Because I've used this for ages. I've had a couple of these, from the tiny one to the medium one. I didn't have the big one. I think this is a medium one. And yeah, I've had this forever and I've used it for yonks. So what are they? What do these things do? These are bait deployers. So basically these things, you tie it onto your line, you fill it with bait, close it, and you cast it to your spot. And when it lands on the water, it opens up, releases your bait, and allows the bait to create a chumming area, and then you reel it back and it skips across the top of the water. Now, these have been tested for quite a while now. I've used this for years and I've used this for quite a few months now, and this is about picking which one is best. So let's get into some of the similarities. Well, they're pretty much the same size. They're both very aerodynamically shaped. You can cast half a mile with both of them, and they're both tie on the back. They're both open when they hit the water, and yeah, that's about it. Other than the obvious differences, this is black, this is white. Okay, so with those kind of things done, and they do the similar things, what are the three main differences that makes me favor one over the other? Now, the first thing that I favor the one over the other is how easy it is to load. Like, in terms of when you're using these things, you've got a rod in your hand and you've got a bucket next to you or a packet or something or whatever, and you've got to put the bait inside. The one I prefer is the Dot Spod. Reason why is because if you can look inside the Spom, the mechanism is quite exposed. A lot of the time you're scooping stuff up and your pellets and whatever get stuck in the mechanism. So you're often trying to pick out little things from the mechanism so that when you cast it out, it'll open, or so when you pick it up, it doesn't just open and put bait all over the ground so you can feed the ducks. So with the Dot Spod, it's a one-sided thing. So when you've got one hand, you literally can scoop it up, close it, and then push it forward. It's a very simple mechanism. Okay, then the second thing that I prefer the one over the other is the consistency of opening in the water. We've all been there where you cast in your thingy. I'm not going to say which one. You cast in your thingy and you've cast it perfectly. You've cast it exactly to the right distance, the right angle, everything, and it's right on your spot, and the motherfucker doesn't open. So then you've got this thing that's in the water. Now it's full of bait, so it's heavy, but then now the bait is waterlogged and you've got to drag this thing all the way back to the shore, and then you try cast it again, but now it's heavier, and then it doesn't really make the spot, or it opens halfway over, and like once there's water in it, it just screws it up. So we've all been there, and this one, about 1 every 8 casts, doesn't bloody open, and it's a pain in the gut. This one almost never doesn't open. Why is that? Why is that? Because look at the what's it called, the trigger placement, or the trigger size. So if the Spom over here, it's got one little dot. If the water hits here, it doesn't open until it actually presses the actual little button in the center. So you got to make sure this thing lands at an angle where the water is going to hit that center. With the Dot Spod, it can hit any of this side of the mechanism. So it can hit here, or it can hit. So if it hits over there, it's obviously not going to open. But if the thing hits like this on the water, like almost parallel with the water, it'll still open. So that's a great thing about it. And I think that's one of the main differences why I actually prefer the Dot Spod over the Spom. Then the last big difference, the biggest difference for me So these things are both made out of plastic, both plastic, but this one sinks and this one floats. For a piece of plastic, these things are expensive. And when you're going to crack off when you're fishing with these things, because a lot of the time you're going at the max distance you can get with the rod setup you've got, and you're going to crack off with a Spom or Spod or whatever, any kind of bait deployment thing, you're going to crack off at some point. I'm sorry, it's just gonna happen. And I know there's someone sitting on this couch going, I've never cracked off, so he's talking shit. But at one point you're going to crack off, and this one sinks. So unless you tie something, a little cork onto the back, or they sell a secondary thing, unless you tie that to the back, this thing slowly sinks like bloody Titanic, and you can watch it sink, and you can hear that as 300 bucks disappears into the depths. This bugger floats. Excellent. And that's amazing. So then you can watch this thing, you're like, crack off. No, oh wait, it floats. You can wait for the wind to blow it to shore, or you can borrow someone's boat or use your own boat or whatever, but you can get it back. Then this 300 Rand or 400 Rand, I don't know how much it is, you can get this thing back and then just use it again after that. So that's the three main differences between these two things. The Spom, it's a great product and you can still use it, and it's still wonderful to use. Like, don't get me wrong, this is the OG, man. This is the original. So it's great. But if I was you and I had my money waiting to spend at cmfcarp.co.za, where you can get a 10% discount if you use the code ITTF123, and a link in the description. If I was going to buy one of these, two, I would spend my money on the Dot Spod every time. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, tattle hands, guys.